This press conference will be addressed by the Executive Director, Anderson D. Miaman, and he will speak to trending national issues. So it is my singular honor and distinguished pleasure to welcome and introduce to address this press conference, Mr. Anderson D. Miaman. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Blamo. A warm welcome again to our media colleagues and partners. It's always a pleasure to have you joining us here at CENTAL to work for the people. As Edward indicated, we have a position statement that we will read out and thereafter entertain questions if there are any. It's a press statement for immediate release. Monrovia, Wednesday, July 10, 2024. Flouting transparency and rule of law. CENTAL expresses grave concern over government's lack of transparency in yellow machines saga ordeal. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, a very warm welcome to this press conference aimed at giving our latest official position on matters related to the acquisition of 285 pieces of earth-moving equipment by the Unity Party-led government headed by President Joseph Boakai Sr. As always, we appreciate the partnership with the media and the very important contributions you continue to make in the fight against corruption and other vices in Liberia. We owe it to ourselves and the generations after us to make Liberia corruption-free, prosperous, and livable. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, from May 23 to 25, 2024, the government of Liberia held a 3-day cabinet retreat in Monrovia. During the event, the Minister of State with our portfolio, Madam Mamaka Belete, announced that 285 pieces of earth-moving equipment have been presented to the government of Liberia in a virtual turnover ceremony attended by her, Honorable Sylvester M. Graceby, Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, and Honorable Roland Lafayette Giddings, Minister of Public Works. A video released about the turning over ceremony also features Mr. Su Ming, Senior Vice President of CENTAL Group, a Chinese multinational heavy equipment manufacturing company and the third largest heavy equipment manufacturer in the world, and Robert Gumet, Chairman of the Guman Group based in South Africa. On social media and other platforms, some Liberians have welcomed the development but call for transparency, accountability, and full compliance with public procurement and other related laws in acquiring the equipment. Responding on May 28, 2024 to questions raised by the public, the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Honorable Jeremy Pierre, stated that the announcement made by Minister Belete was not as a result of any agreement. Rather, it was an update on plans of the government. He stressed that even though the government of Liberia has the power to negotiate deals in the interest of the country, such deals will be negotiated with respect for the rule of law and separation of powers. However, in the face of the assertion by the government's spokesperson, many Liberians, including us at CENTAL, were surprised when the government moved to bring in the first batch of the equipment without any evidence that procurement laws were followed. We saw on Saturday, July 6, 2024, the Liberian government parading several pieces of the equipment. Media outlets have quoted government sources as confirming importation of the equipment as the first consignment of the much discussed road equipment. Meanwhile, more than 1 month since the Liberian government confirmed plans to acquire the said equipment, it has provided little or no tangible information to the public on the matter. Circumstances around acquisition of the yellow machines are still unclear despite persistent public outcry and demand for information from state authorities. The source, cost, nature of the deal, payment modalities, and other vital details are still top secret of the government, despite the Freedom of Information Law, Code of Conduct for Public Officials, and other laws and policies requiring full disclosure of such information. Why would a government who premised its campaign on transparency and accountability choose to have the issue of importation of such huge quantity of equipment valued at millions of dollars treated in secrecy? We can only wonder what is stopping the government from openly disclosing details of the deal, including cost of the equipment, source of funding, and the supplier. Why is the Ministry of Information still tight-lipped on the issue? CENTAL is deeply troubled by this development, which contradicts the President's professed anti-corruption commitment and respect for the rule of law and good governance requirements. If the outer component of the government's arrest agenda truly means respect for the rule of law, then the government needs to do the needful by ensuring the right processes, including the public procurement and other tendering processes, are fully respected. This does not seem to be the case as things stand with the equipment acquisition. This is not the first time the government has engaged in an opaque and non-competitive process. A case in point is when the Ministry of Public Works awarded over $20 million USD worth of road contracts to various contractors without competitive processes, only to admit to wrongdoing and apologize to members of the Liberian legislature. Liberians and development partners are seeing a similar trend with the yellow machines. Like the road contracts, the Liberian government is violating her own established procurement, due diligence, participation, and other processes in procuring goods, services, and works. This is highly concerning, especially for a president and government portrayed as being experienced in leadership and governance. Reports that the company and individuals behind the deal have business interests in Liberia make the saga more concerning. If there is a lack of transparency and due diligence at this early stage of their engagement with the government of Liberia, it says a lot about what any future investments or relations with Liberia will be like. Recommendations: Liberians demand more transparency, accountability, and integrity from their leaders. If the president is to be true to his commitment of running an open and accountable government, the right steps must be followed, including respect for the rule of law, especially during these early days of his administration. We urge the President, Joseph Juma Boakai Sr., and his officials to respect the laws of Liberia, especially Public Procurement and Concession Commission's guidelines on negotiating and contracting works, goods, and services for government in the country. We join well-meaning Liberians and development partners in demanding the executive to make full disclosure and full and timely disclosure regarding circumstances surrounding the yellow machines and all related matters. As important as procurement of this equipment may be in addressing road and other infrastructure challenges faced by the country, the process in acquiring them cannot be marked by secrecy. Additionally, we call on the legislature to get involved and demand timely and full answers from the executive on the matter. We recommend the government swiftly addresses the issue through a public hearing and open appearances of executive officials to respond to multiple lingering questions. Also, we applaud Liberians for demanding transparency and accountability around the issue. We encourage more of such engagements, not only on this but all matters bordering on public interest. Finally, we call on development partners to closely follow this and other activities and processes of government, to ask the needed questions and demand accountability from officials leading and coordinating such processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now is your turn to ask your questions. In case you have, you can raise your hand and you'll be recognized to ask your question. Let's see who hand goes up first. No question? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press. See you next time for another edition of this question.